getting on another call, and so this call is with a young man who is looking to start a new business. So he started his own business. Don't know where this is going to go, but this is a perfect example of just jump on the phone. The more you jump on the phone, the better you will get. And even though I don't know where this is going to go, I think I can definitely help this guy. But it's helpful to jump on the phone and see what he's trying to do and see if there's a fit. Not sure if I'm going to sell the program to him or not, but we'll see how the conversation goes. Hi, Cam.
Hey, what's up?
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. 1 second, just sort some. All right, sweet.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Oh, good. Look, I enjoyed our conversation. I really think that you remind me of myself when I was in my 20s. And I think,
really?
yeah, I love your tenacity and your drive. And I could even tell from your content, like for a 20-year-old, like, you know your shit. You're not a dumb kid. Like, you're good. I'm very impressed
Thank
with
you.
you. So, tell me about your background. Like, what was your major in school?
So I'm still in university.
Okay.
But I did. So in the UK, it's a little different to the US. We don't. We were in senior year, what you would call it. We don't do all subjects. We do like 3 or 4.
Okay.
And I did that in. I did 3. I did business, economics, and sociology, and they were the 3 that I ended in what we call college, or you would call senior year.
That's
I'm currently studying business at university now.
That's amazing. Am I echoing to you?
Sorry?
Am I echoing to you?
No, not really.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Yeah, that's amazing. I think it sounds like it's more along the lines of a liberal arts college, which is where I spent some of my career after I sold my business. I worked in a few liberal arts colleges because I love the philosophy of if you want to be in business, you can't just learn business. You know, you have to learn, like economics is a perfect tie, and even psychology, sociology too, is a perfect tie into business because there's other skill sets and soft skills that you learn. And some hard in those other subjects that are so important. So I love that. I double majored. I was business and computer science. Yeah, and of my 5 degrees, 3 of them are actually technical degrees in cybersecurity and internet technology. And then I went to go get an MBA and a PhD. But without my technology degrees, I don't think I would have the mind frame and the logical thinking that I do today. So I love that they do that.
Yeah. Well, I've never really been one to be massively knowledgeable about IT. It's not to say I'm bad at it. It's just I prefer kind of the more people aspect above logical and more quantitative, I guess you could say. It's why I kind of loved sociology. And as you said, it ties in perfectly to business. That's kind of why I got started in this space, was because it fascinates me how much of an influence social media has over our everyday lives. And the vast majority of people just have no idea. They just accept it and just get on with it. To me, I think it's so incredibly interesting is that everything we now do is completely shaped by what we consume. And that was kind of what drove me into the content space.
I love that. And, you know, what I appreciate about your content is that, you know, you look at a lot of these Instagram growth people and all they talk about is spend 8 hours on Instagram, you know, do this type of engagement 3 hours before, 3 hours after. Like, what I appreciate about your content is for the most part you're focusing on the content itself and driving engagement through good content. And I think you're onto something because a lot of these other Insta growth people focus, in my opinion, on the wrong things.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I've been saying this for a while, and I've said it to a lot of different people who are, in terms of followers, are far more successful than me because of the growth. But when people come to me and say, how do I get more followers? I just say, make good content. You know, it's very simple, to be honest. You don't need any sort of growth hacks or engagement tactics. If you make something that is valuable and solves a problem, people will come. People will come. You know, there's enough of us on there.
No, 100% agree. And I also think, too, like, sometimes people are looking at the wrong metrics. You know, they look at the vanity metrics like followers, when in reality, with 1,000 followers, you can probably, if you do it right and you build your follower base right, you should have 100 clients in there, you know, and that's the issue is sometimes when people grow too large, they miss the idea of how to monetize an account. And the problem is that they don't build their account correctly to begin with. like you said, with good content, they do these tactics to, guest post and things like that to get, these vanity followers that aren't really engaged with them, but following you because, so-and-so said to. Well, that's not the right way to gain loyalty from people, that's the biggest problem is people have 50,000 followers and have no idea how to monetize it at all.
I mean, there's no reason to have that many followers if you've got no reason to monetize it,
Yeah.
You can't pay your rent in followers. No one accepts that as a currency. You've got to find a way to transform what is essentially leverage as a platform, as an audience. It's something that not many people have, and if you can't figure out a way to take the most out of that and make the most out of that, then there's no one to blame but yourself. Like, you have this opportunity that many people don't have. If you still fuck it up, then it's your own fault.
Yeah, no, I love that. I always say if you can't sell with 100 followers, you can't sell with 100,000, and at the end of the day, at 500 followers. But before I started this journey, so I started this because I was like, it's the pandemic, and I was like, all right, why don't I never had my own professional Instagram. I have a private one where I have a couple thousand followers, but it's more private. Like I post photos of my daughter and things like that.
Yeah.
And I've built hundreds of Instagram accounts for other people, but I never really had my own. I never needed to, right? But this summer I was like, you know what? Like I really want to get more into the coaching. Like I've been coaching for years, but I never formalized it. It always just kind of happened with my clients where I would end up coaching them. And I was like, why don't I actually like put this into a formal thing and see if people would be interested? And what I found is literally I got my first client at 145 followers. Like I didn't even need thousands of followers, It's like you said, people like your content, people like you, people like your personality. People work with people. They buy people, not products or services. So I think you're on to the right path, and I think you're doing the right things, growing your business. And like I said, I mean, look, you're very knowledgeable and you're very approachable and you're very presentable. And when you want to build, I assume you want to build a digital marketing agency, right? That's kind of your goal?
It's consulting agency more than anything.
Okay.
I'm not as bothered about the actual content creation behind it. I want to create cool content, but I want to create cool content for myself.
Yeah.
I want it to be like side projects and a bit of fun, something I can really experiment with. But in terms of a professional service or any type of monetization, I'm definitely looking a lot more down the consulting and strategy route.
Okay, so you want to do business strategy?
Sorry, say that again.
You want to do business strategy or social strategy?
Social strategy, really.
Okay.
I'm less fussed about the actual inner workings of business strategy because I know for a fact I don't have that level of experience yet. I mean,
eventually.
I've only ever really been self-employed and had part-time jobs. I've never worked in an office or anything like that. So I just have to work with what I already know, which is social media. Being 20, you just grow up with it.
Yeah. So when we talk about social strategy, are you looking at personal brands or are you looking at corporations or small businesses? Do you have an idea?
Small to medium businesses is kind of the idea I've gone with, but as we spoke about earlier, the idea is there, the workings are there. I just need to sort of piece it together. I've got bit parts here and there, but if I can just piece a puzzle together, then I can get a better direction. So I've done the very vagueness of small to medium brands, but the twinge, the angle is more that I have knowledge about Gen Z and I want to help others reach it. I'm so sick of seeing ads and content people make that just miss the mark by so much, and it's just incredibly cringy, and I kind of want to change that. I want to have my influence on that and try and help people actually connect with the future generations.
And I think part of your offer needs to be that Gen Z. For now, you can always change your offer because I think that there's not many people out there marketing that they can help you capture Gen Z, and you have to explain why. I mean, Gen Z they are all about mentors and business coaches and all about philanthropy and spending money. Like they spend money and they believe what they see on social, right? So I think that there's a huge market there, and people don't necessarily know how. People are still speaking to millennials right now. They're not speaking to Gen Z, which is almost just as big. and they spend more money than millennials. So it's the new wave that's coming up. So I think you're onto something there, really targeting businesses. I think your copy you might want to start to shift some language, speaking more to the small business, because when I read your content, I feel like you're speaking more to personal brands. So you might want to just look at the way that you're copied, but I love your format. I love how you tell a story. You have a format in how you do your carousels, and it's very simple, and you give 1 to 3 points per each carousel, and that's it. And I think that's really good. But you might want to look at, making sure that you're speaking to the small to medium businesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, the angle that we're currently working on, where it is slightly more tinted towards personal brands, is because the original space I started in was very much the carousel and growth community, which is a lot of personal brands.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those were the initial audience that I had. So I kind of just had to double down on that for the time being. It's not really something I really want to pursue long term in the personal brand space, but I knew, okay, I'm in this space, I understand it, and it's a good place to start. Hence the personal brand tip. But I do definitely want to shift to corporations. They've got, much better prospects, actual brand images. It's not just someone's face.
And there's a lot of pros and cons to both. There's definitely more money in the small business world. I'm at the point in my career now where I can shift and not worry about money as much and work with smaller brands. But when I first got it started, small to medium-sized businesses definitely absolutely need the help. It could be as silly as I helped a bridal shop up the street and made really good money off it, but exploded their business locally because they had no idea. It was an old Italian guy, and he had no idea how to do digital marketing online. And his dresses were beautiful, and they literally spoke for himself. And all he needed was somebody to help him get online. And there's so many people like that, where somebody like you can come in and go, hey, you have beautiful things here. You just need to build an online brand. And there's so many people that don't have that. And I can see you doing very well, even locally, but even bridging out to other countries, because you're very presentable, and you speak very well, and you're very knowledgeable. And there's many people that are going to target that Gen Z. So you want to almost now narrow down a little bit more and finding what are the top niches that are going after those types of people, and going after the younger crowds. Think through that.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely look into that. That's a good point.
And it doesn't mean you have to, stick with that niche, but when you start to build your portfolio, you kind of want to narrow in a little bit. You don't want to be so niche down where you're going after only, fitness gyms. And it might be too niche or, but if you can pick 2 or 3 niches that kind of complement and Gen Z is a large part of their body, then you can start to draft content towards that. And then organically, you don't have to spend money to find clients. There's organic ways to get clients through Instagram and Facebook. Even though Facebook, I find there's a lot of creepy people on Facebook. I have gotten clients off Facebook in some of these groups, but Instagram, I find you can vet a little better and wean out the creepy people much quicker. Especially being a woman on Facebook, it's really hard.
That's absolutely horrendous.
Some of the messages I get are just insane, but it is funny, but it's also sad. But
yeah. I mean, I've got a few female friends, and they're all to the same thing. I had a couple of them start gym accounts, fitness pages, just to almost keep themselves publicly accountable.
Yeah.
And they just deleted 40, 50, 60 messages a day from just random creepy people online. I was just baffled. I was like, I don't get one. I reckon I might get 3 months, and that's it. It seems so alien to me, but I know that's just the dark side of the internet, I guess.
It is. The more you put yourself out there, the more creepy people or spammers that you get. It's definitely creepy. But so, what would you say is your biggest challenges right now in trying to grow this business?
That's a good question. There's a couple things. The biggest I'd say right now is not even from a monetary standpoint. It's that I still have a year left of my degree. So this year I was supposed to be on placement. I was supposed to be on a year in industry at a consulting firm. And that fell through because of COVID. Long story short, I signed for a house and I had no money. I started this business as a way to make rent. That was basically the entire reason behind this page. But that meant I still have a year left of university. So no matter how big this business gets, I still want to finish my degree. I've already committed 2 years, and I don't want to waste that money. Because it's always handy to have a degree to fall back on. So,
you absolutely agree. You want to complete that degree, no matter what. That needs to be your top priority. I completely agree with you.
100%. So the biggest problem right now in growing the business is that I want to take it further. I really want to scale it up. I want to get it to a point where I'm happy with it, because right now is great for the starting points, but making 1,000 to 2,000 a month is not really what I want to do. Those are pretty low figures. It's a great starting point, but you want to get a bit higher than that.
Yeah.
So I'm really focused on trying not to grow it too big to the point where it becomes unmanageable in my final year. Or if it does, automating that.
Yeah, scaling sometimes is the hard part, especially as a side gig. Like, I have a lot of people that are in my program right now that are currently in a 9 to 5. So in similar situations like you, like they have other commitments, but they want to grow this brand slowly, but not explode it yet, but build the foundation of it so that it can explode when they're ready to jump to it. And that sounds like kind of what you're looking to do, is build the foundation so so you have a solid working business, a solid group of leads, and when you're ready to really jump all in, you're ready to go.
100%. It's all about making it so when I come out of university, I don't necessarily have a business, but I have the infrastructure, the base level to build from a business.
Yeah.
It's just really setting that groundwork that I really want to spend this year doing. And there's a whole host of things that I need to focus more on, because, with this being one of the first serious businesses that I've done, the rest were just kind of side hustles. There are a lot of areas that I'm unsure about or I don't know. So this year is not about making money for me. This is literally a game of trial and error, experimentation, see what works, see what doesn't, and find some place I can find myself happy and ready to take it on after university.
So you might be able to do both. So if your goal is to make 3,000 to 5,000, there's no reason why you're not making that as a side hustle. So I'll explain. So let's talk about your pricing and what are the services you're doing right now, and what are you charging for them?
Not a lot. I have content creation, but that's the least important of the three. I outsource that to other students to keep it within the Gen Z timeframe.
Yeah.
I have a strategy service in which I work with people to create a content strategy. That involves things like content calendars, audits, etc. That's $500 a month. And the other one is like a coaching call, a content consulting call, which is literally like £50 just for an hour call, because £50 an hour is good enough for me at university for now. But these are just prices I'd come up with myself and just see if it's about the right level. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, the strategy service, you could probably charge double. Honestly, I have students that are charging $2,500 for that. So you could probably double that. And especially if you're going after businesses. Like, as a business, if I'm a mid-sized business, I would pay somebody $1,000 to come up with my strategy. Does that include also creating the content for them, or just the strategy?
Okay. Just the strategy.
If you're outsourcing the content piece, if you soup to nuts say, $1,000, I'll create all your strategy and your content for 30 days for you. You might even be able to charge more like $2,500 for that. So it's something to think about if you change your strategy and how you're going after. Because for a personal brand, $500 a month is probably good. If you're going after businesses, you could probably charge $1,000 for what you're already doing, $1,500 to $2,000 if that also includes content creation. If you're outsourcing it anyway, it's a little work for you, and it's just an additional bonus that you can sell. And hey, you know what? I'll throw in that I'll do all your content for you also. For the same price. If it costs you very little to do it, it might just be an added thing. And then all you really need is 1 or 2 clients every month, and that's it. And that's manageable, I think, 1 or 2 clients while you're doing what you're doing. And then you're not having to hustle because you're getting into an agreement with an organization.
Okay, that makes sense.
So just something to think about.
Definitely. The strategy. So originally, my pricing for strategy was about 1,000 a month, but I went through probably 10 or 15 leads of proposing that price. And as you said, for personal brands, 500 is good, but for 1,000, it was a tough nut for people to crack.
Yeah.
So that actually led me to me bringing down my price to fit the current niche that I was in, because I don't know. I wanted to get a bit more of a steady stream. So I have one client currently on the 500 a month program, and then other people have bit parts. I partner with agencies actually who outsource creative work to me. It was just a free leads. I didn't really have to do anything. All I do is just kick back like 5% of the profit I make to them. It just means they don't have to do it. But that was just a nice, easy way to sort of get the ball rolling.
Yeah. And also too, like, even if you look at somebody like me, for instance, right? Like, I have people in my course who need content creation. I don't want to do it, you know? And so even partnering with certain coaches, you might be able to partner with some people to offer your services. Personal brands, you're never going to make as much, like I said, you know? So if you offer both, I would keep that $500 for the personal brand, but I would consider, and we could talk about strategies on how to get some of these small to medium-sized businesses to start thinking of you. But I would up your price for them, and then all you need is if you could tie both of those together, then you're starting to build a business without having to put too much more effort into it.
I see. I do have several documents typed up for like onboarding and frequently asked questions and things like that, just to make the whole process a little simpler. And people seem to really like that, but that will need a lot of tweaking, to be honest.
Onboarding is big.
Pardon?
Onboarding is really big.
100%. No, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you'll quickly lose people if you don't onboard them correctly.
Definitely. If it's just fuzzy and unclear, they're not going to part with their money. I think the biggest issue for me currently, aside from the overexpansion with the rest of university to finish, is 100% finding those higher ticket clients. Because for me, just instinctively, I think, there's more professional people on places like LinkedIn, but I fucking hate LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just do not want LinkedIn at all. And it's finding those higher ticket businesses, because I often fail to recognize what classes as a small business, what classes medium business, and what classes as a personal brand. Obviously, personal brand is someone with a face, but I could never distinguish between small and medium, which led to defaulting to personal brands because I knew what a personal brand was. So it's more lead gen and recognizing who is a good fit, a good client for me. Those are the two biggest issues by far.
And what I find are people that can't find high ticket clients are people that don't know who they're going after, right? So it goes back to your niche and trying to drill down, and partly why I always suggest to niche down a little bit. You can't go after every single small business in the world. Like, you need to niche down a little bit. I would start local because you're local. And then once you kind of get your footing under you, then you can expand out a little bit. And what I find is that people that niche down a little bit, not too far down, you can target. I go back to gyms because I have like 4 people right now I'm working with building their local gym brands. But you can target all gyms, but I want it niche down to just CrossFit gyms. I'm making it up, right? You want to niche down a little bit so that you're kind of focusing in. And anything that you could do with your background is even better. So whether it's the Gen Z angle or, if you're a soccer player and you want to go after, local soccer clubs, I'm making it up, whatever it is, something that you can connect with them on, and that's a really important thing. And that's why, like, for instance, like, you are my ideal client, somebody that is trying to do what I did at your age. So I can relate to you and where you are because I've literally been exactly where you are. Doing what you're doing, right? So finding out who that perfect dream client is really important. We spend weeks on this in my course because it's that damn important. And I have like workbooks that I literally make them fill out. And I've had some people be like, this is dumb, Alex. I'm like, fill it out and then tell me if it's dumb after. And then afterward, they're like, all right, that was good. I get it now, And it's you got to spend the time to really narrow in exactly who you're going after and exactly what you're offering.
And that's been what I've struggled with since day one. It's just been so unclear to me because, I don't know, lot of exposure to different industries. I don't know a lot about different industries. But it's been hard for me to really think, okay, this person's probably my ideal client, because in all honesty, like the step 1 and 2 is a block right now. I don't understand how to find the ideal client. So the clients I've been working with now tend to just be people that I've connected with on a personal level. So I've just liked their attitude, I've liked their personality, I've liked how they act, and I've worked with them because I like them. That's basically been the only defining factor right now as to who I choose as a client.
Yeah.
So actually narrowing that down is super, super important, but I still haven't got it yet. I still haven't even remotely got it yet, to be honest.
So why is it important for you to figure this out?
Because if I know my ideal client, then I can just tailor everything and all these ideas that I have in the right direction.
Yeah.
I've got all sorts of different strategies and tactics and whatever you have just floating around in my head, but no way to put them in all in the same direction. Some going this way, that way, someone thinking, oh, we should go into this industry, or we should look at this industry, or look at this type of person. And it's all just creating more confusion and noise, if anything, and there's just a real lack of clarity.
So going back to the why. So why are you trying to create this consulting agency? Like, what's the why behind why you're doing it?
Well, a few things. One, I really enjoy consulting. I like talking to people. I like educating people, I like helping people. 2, I understand the consulting business model. 3, I can do it. It's a service. I can do it from my laptop. My aim is to be work from home, remote working. Work from your laptop. I don't really want to be tied down in a job or an office or anything like that. I don't know. Consulting just speaks to me a little bit more than any sort of product business or any sort of I don't know what you would call it, creative business in actual creation. Consulting just appeals to my strategic analytical nature a lot. And that's kind of why I lean towards that. It just seems to suit me better, if I'm being honest.
No, and I think the work from home is a beautiful thing. It allows you to work from anywhere. Like my wife and I travel a lot. We love traveling. And so when we had our company, we literally went to Thailand for 4 weeks, went to Africa for 3 weeks. Like, we worked from all around the world, and it was just so much fun. Besides when obviously when we were in Thailand, one of my clients called me on January 1st at midnight, and because the time difference, and we were like drunk off our ass, and he's like, hey, the email didn't go out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, in Thailand on the street, like putting those lanterns up. Have you ever seen the lanterns? And I'm like wasted off my ass. It really does allow, but I think the biggest part too is the financial freedom of being able, like, you're going to work a 9 to 5. You're probably going to come out of, college working in a 9 to 5. Maybe, and I don't know salaries there, but maybe you're making 40 to 50 pounds, 40,000, 50,000 pounds, whatever it is.
Not quite as high as that.
Yeah, I don't know the conversion difference. So
it's normally about, your average salary out of university is probably like 27 to 32,000 is probably.
Yeah, and you can make a lot more than that doing consulting. But it comes also, like, being an entrepreneur is hard. But once you figure out the predictive model that works, and create a predictable income for yourself, then it's smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to figure that piece out, the strategy piece of it.
Yeah, that's the first issue, 100%. That's the biggest issue anyway. One thing I do want to go back to is, you said if you charge like $2,500 or something for a client, you only need 1 or 2 clients a month. That was my original plan, was just to get like a couple of clients on high ticket prices and live off that. But then I all thought of, you're putting too much dependency. You're at the mercy of 1 or 2 clients. If one goes, then you lose a significant chunk of your income. And that was a bit disappointing to me.
So you never stop. So what I teach my students is, you need to build, and you've started doing this with your onboarding program, but what you want to do is build a learning platform for these people that allows them to come in, that does a lot of that onboarding work for you, where they're going into this lesson plan of going through exactly what you want to teach them, because it's all about empowering other people too. They're going to enjoy your services better if you're empowering them and teaching them what you're doing. But you don't stop. Just like right now, I'm honestly completely full for December, and I don't have room to take on any other students, but I don't stop talking to people, right? So you don't ever stop. It's whether or not you take people on at that time, but what you want to do is plan out your year. So if you have a year left of school, what you want to do is plan that out. So, maybe you get one client in January, one in February, then maybe you up it to 2 in February. Like, I'm making it up, but you want to build out your year and how many people, and it is predictable, right? So, for instance, I know that for every 100 people I talk to, 20 want to talk to me on the phone, right? And of the 20, I normally close 50% of them. So I know if I talk to somebody, 1 in every 2 people will want to work with me, right? So I know that I need to get, if I need 5 people a month, I know that I need to get 10 on a Zoom, right? So it becomes predictable the more you do it, where you'll know how many people you need to close, because you get better at it too. Like in the beginning, I was only closing 1 out of 10, and then as you get better in understanding your own offer, because sometimes it's not about your expertise, it's about knowing how to close a sale and the right things to say and how to deal with objections, because so many people are going to have objections. Oh, I can't afford this. Oh, I can't do this. And understanding how to navigate that sometimes, especially in the small business world, will only help you close more sales. So sometimes it's creating that predictability of your sales process so that you don't have to worry about that.
See, that's something I haven't really had much experience in. As I mentioned earlier, all my clients are just based on if I got on with them or not, if I like these people. And that kind of is not really a sales process. That's just getting on with people, liking people. So while I've closed a couple people, I've actually closed a couple clients in a more professional setting, environment. It's not something I've had loads of practice in. And it will come, but sort of creating that sales process would be super beneficial, because I mean, lead gen as a rule, I'm not fantastic at, because again, little experience so far. But there's no point having leads if you can't close them.
Exactly.
So I've got to learn both ends of this stick and piece it all together, really.
Well, you're already a step ahead, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand how important it is. And this is why when I talk about my 6 pillars and how important all of them are, a lot of coaches will only teach you one piece of it. They'll only teach you how to get leads on Instagram, or they'll only teach you how to close a sale, or they'll only teach you their one thing. But they don't teach you all 6. And in my opinion, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have the right mindset. You have to have the right personal brand. You have to understand who your target audience is and what you're offering. You have to understand how to generate the right content, because, for instance, you generate really good content, but is it laddering up to what you're offering exactly, right? Somewhat, kind of, but it could...
It's in the rough area.
Yeah, it could be more specific. Yeah, And then the 4th piece is advertising, which honestly, I'm pulling in 1.2. I don't advertise at all. Everything is organic. You don't have to advertise. Now, if I wanted to offload some of what I'm doing organically and I didn't want to deal with that, advertising is a really good piece. And I do have students that do advertise, and it works very well. But there's a process of doing that right, because you can blow a ton of money on Facebook and do it wrong, right? And then the last piece is closing the sale. Before that, having the sales funnels is really important too. Having the right predictive model and funneling leads through a system is super important, and then closing the sale. So I think all 6 of those pillars are incredibly important. If you don't have the right mindset, you can forget about the rest. And if you get through all the pillars and you can't close, you might as well forget the whole process, So super, super important. So you're already a step ahead because you're thinking about it correctly. You understand as a CEO and as an owner, you have to be a good salesperson. Doesn't mean you have to do it forever, but you want to learn those skills in building a predictable model that you can do yourself, so that you can train people under you to do it for you eventually.
That is exactly what I'm looking to do when it comes to the autonomy of my final year. I need to break down exactly what I do into a simplified, structured, step-by-step process that I can teach somebody else to do whilst I do finish my degree. And that was like my biggest priority when I first set this up. First thing my parents said to me was, you need to automate it. Well, my mom doesn't really do this, but my dad said, you need to automate this for your final year. Otherwise, it's going to become too much and you're going to be incredibly stressed.
He's a smart guy.
He's done a bit of business in his time, so I trust his advice.
And the easy part too is, just like I have an online course where I empower entrepreneurs to learn these things. I also have a course for my employees that they go through, and it's almost an automated, go through these 10 modules and it'll teach you what I do. I also make my employees sit through, like I have a new salesperson starting, and I make him sit through my group calls. And I make him sit through what I do so that he can learn what my program is about. You have to live and breathe my program in order to sell it, and then it will come with time. And as you build your business and your business processes, you want to document it so that you are starting the creation of an online portal for your employees. And many people don't think about the duplication process and how important that is to document what you're doing. And they get a year or two down the road, they're like, oh, I should have really documented everything I've been doing, and they forget that process. So I am super impressed with your mindset. Like you are well beyond your years of 20. So your parents have to be proud.
Weirdly, a lot of people have said I act a lot older than I am. When I tell people I'm 20, people always really
I did
surprised.
not think you were 20.
Really?
No, at all. I thought maybe, I knew you were young, but I did not think you were 20.
It's crazy. So many people have said that, and I could never figure out why.
You're impressive.
I don't think I look particularly old.
No, I'm super impressed with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think, So, here's the bad news. I do think that there's some risk, right, of doing this yourself, because there's a lot of mistakes that you could make, and it could end up prolonging your success. And if you want this thing to hit in a year, there's a lot of groundwork that you have to do. And so that's the bad news. The good news is I do really think that you have something that can grow now to that 3,000 to 5,000 range for now while you're in school, that then you can quickly scale. Once you build the foundation, scaling is the easy part. It's building the foundation that's the hard piece. So your goal the next 12 months needs to build that foundation and that predictable process so that when you're ready to go all out and scale, you can go all out and scale, right? So saying that, I do think that my process and my coaching program could help you. I think that at the end of the day, sometimes what leaves entrepreneurs to fail is they get in their own way, right? And as a business coach is there to help guide you and show you the way without you getting kind of stuck on a simple problem that they've already dealt with, right? I look at it.
Explain what you mean by getting their own way.
Sure. So, for instance, you're trying to build a process and try to figure it out on your own. And sometimes you even mentioned it yourself. You said, I have so many things in my head and I just don't know which direction to go and what the right avenue is. And sometimes what happens, entrepreneur, I look at it like you're hiking up a big mountain. And there are so many different paths to get to that mountain. And you can go the long way around, you can get lost in the woods and get off the path, or there's a direct route to the top. But sometimes if you haven't hiked up that mountain, you don't know the right path to go, where a coach knows that path to go. So you get in your own way because you're taking the long way to the top of the mountain, right? And it's kind of like that GPS analogy that I shared with you. You could get to your destination most likely sometimes without a GPS, but you're taking a really long route and taking a lot of wrong turns to get to the end. And at the end of the day, it could cause you to not have a predictable business that you can scale when you graduate. Now, what's the risk of that? The risk is you're not going to have this business, and you might have to go into a 9-to-5 job, right? So, I do think I can help you, and I can explain to you if you're interested about what my program is.
I'd be interested in hearing how much is your program, because that's a big factor. I don't have a massive budget. I've got to be careful what I spend because I've still got to pay rent and food and things.
I understand. So I'll get into that in a second. So basically, my mastermind are a bunch of people like you, entrepreneurs, all starting their own business. They're in little different situations. Every single person has their own story and they're in their own place. But essentially, they're all entrepreneurs just like you, looking to build their brands, build their process, and create a 6, 7, 8 figure business, right? So over the last 15 years, I've done this many, many times. And what I've done is created and packaged this into what I call a mastermind of these people. And it includes a online course that has 40 plus lessons. I'm still building it out. And so you'll learn that and I'll teach you that. If you go a route of eventually doing a course, you don't have to necessarily launch when you have all of them done. Launch as you go. Right? So every day, like I launched 2 lessons today on content creation as an example, right? So I build it every day, but it has 40 plus lessons in it about how to find leads on Instagram, Facebook, personal branding, how to find your why, how to, build out your offering, etc. Right? And I can send you all of the lessons. And I tailor it to when I'm talking to clients and I see what they're struggling with, I'll build a lesson off it because it's in the moment too, right? So it includes that online lesson on demand. You can access it anytime. It has a ton of workbooks for you to work through the different things. Like I said, it'll help you, for instance, figuring out what your vision is for your company, your offer, etc. So there's a ton of workbooks for you to help guide you through it. It also includes the mastermind, which is a Facebook group of everybody. So whenever you have questions, you can ask. And it's not just, the great thing about it is it's not just support from me, but you get support from everyone else in the mastermind, which is great. And it also includes group calls. So we have 2, which actually I just upped it to 3 this week. So 2 to 3 group calls a week where we all jump on. And what's great about that is, again, you're getting different perspectives and we all talk through the challenges. And every meeting has a different topic to it. So you don't have to join them if you don't want to. You know the topic ahead of time. But I always say it's helpful because let's say it's on content creation. You might be an expert in that and you might want to join, but you might bring value to somebody else that's not an expert, where you're not an expert in sales, but somebody else who's an expert in sales, you would want them to join too, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So there's value, and sometimes when you talk through it yourself, you might go, oh, that's a good idea. I should practice what I preach and do that myself, right? So that's always helpful. And it also is one-on-one coaching from me as needed. So I say every week if you want it twice a month, 3 times a month, whatever fits for you. And I'm literally always available. So I have people writing me at 11 p.m. at night and I'm responding back to them. So it's pretty much 24/7 support from me. Any questions you have, I answer immediately, but it does include one weekly call, 1 hour with me and you, just like this, where we're brainstorming, where you can come and say, okay, here's my problem of the week. What would you do here? What should I do here? Here's what I'm thinking for my offer. Hey, I did my sales funnel squeeze page. What do you think? We'll go through it. So I help you with everything. So it's one-on-one support with me. So to recap, the course, the masterclass, and one-on-one coaching support.
Okay, cool.
So pricing. So I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. It's not cheap. And that's just the reality of it. But what I think is that it's very competitive compared, because most coaches, I pay $40,000 a year for my coach, which is crazy. But he's also a 9-figure coach, and he is unbelievable and provides a lot of value, where I'm making so much more off his ideas than, somebody else, right? So I'm a big believer, if I'm a coach, I need a coach. And so that's an important thing. So I don't charge that, don't worry. I'm not,
Thank God.
I'm not in the business to screwing people over. I mean this respectfully, not to be cocky, but I make a lot of money on other things I do. I don't look to screw people out, but I also don't want to, work for free either. So if you go into the link in the chat.
1 second.
And don't freak out at the pricing yet. So I'll walk you through it. So it's a 4-month program. So you're in the program for 4 months. You can expand. Some people right off the bat want to do 12 months, and I tell them, don't do that. Stick with 4 months. See if you like it first. And if you like it, then we can talk about expanding. So I do offer, like, if somebody's really interested to move forward and they're like, yes, I definitely want to, I offer discounts right on the spot, because what I realize is people that are ready to move forward and know they want to work with me tend to be my best referrals and my best clients, because they're like ready to go. So I do offer 20% off, which brings platinum to 4, and then it brings gold to 2,500. Now, 5,000, the platinum one, that's 4,000 if paid in full, or I offer payment plans, includes the one-on-one coaching. But because you're a student, I'll give you platinum for the price of gold, which is $2,500 if you pay in full, $2,750 if you pay monthly, which would be about roughly $500, which I think the dollar is less than the pound, I think. So
It is.
yeah, so
Not by much, but it is, yes.
yeah. So because I want to help you, which don't tell anybody if you do join, because they're paying the 5,000 ticket. But because you're a student, I do want to help. So essentially, it would be about $500 a month, or if you paid in full, it'd be $2,500. So it's cheaper to pay in full. So that's the pricing in terms of that.
Just reiterate, platinum's 2,500. How much is gold?
No, platinum is 5,000, but if you moved forward immediately, I'd give you 20% off, which is 4,000. But because you're a student, I want to help you out, so I'm going to give you the platinum for the price of gold, which is 2,500 if you pay in full. Or even if you, like, let's say you didn't have the funds right now and you put a deposit down, I'll hold the prices for you, so that you don't lose the pricing. And the reason why I do that is because I have so many people that are interested in this, and I can't open this up to 50 people. Like, I have to keep it small because I want to be able to give you that attention. And if I have a bunch of people that are wishy-washy out there, and then they try to come back in a week or two, and I don't have the spots, then you kind of miss out, So I decided to do it this way because a lot of people are really interested, but either because you can get like credit cards now that have like 18 months, no APR, and things like that. And so sometimes or PayPal offers a PayPal loan for 0 APR for 6 months. So sometimes they need time to go do that stuff so that they can pay in full to get the discount. So I try to be flexible.
Okay, 2,500 in full. How much is it per month? You say 500 per month.
So if you put a deposit down, it's $562.50 per month. If you don't put a deposit down, it would be $687.50 per month.
I would put a deposit down. Don't worry about the non-deposit.
So it's $562.50 per month.
2 seconds. Let me just work out the conversion on that. I don't know the dollar conversion off by heart. All right. Okay. I will have to think this over.
No, of course.
That's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
No, I like I said, I'm not trying to make people broke, So I'm in the business of helping people, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that. But it at least covers my costs too of my time and my coach's time, etc. So think about it. I could probably hold the price until tomorrow, but I do have a couple other people that are trying to join, so I just have to know. But if you are interested, you can all you have to do is leave either a $500 deposit or you start your payment plan. So either one kind of activates it, and that's it. And I would love to work with you. I think we would learn a lot from each other.
I think we would be a good fit. We seem to get on quite well and have a similar outlook.
We do, and I like that you have a sense of humor. That's important. I actually have somebody else from London area who's part of this as well. So she's part of the little group, and I have some people in Australia. So it's a really interesting group. So I have some people from Canada. It's a good group. So. Okay.
Cool. Just first impressions looking at the price. That's not actually that bad. I can tell you this, I'm very, very good at saving money. very rosy. I probably spend less than £500 a month, and that's including rent and food. So
I gotta ask your parents what they did with you, because I have a 6-month-old, and I hope that my 6-month-old, when she's 20, is exactly like you. So I need to talk to Dad and Mom.
Well, there are a few nuggets. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Only spend what you can afford to lose,
There you go.
and never gamble more than you can afford to lose, as in calculated risk, obviously not gambling.
Here's what I think, right? So if you hire somebody to go build you a sales funnel for you, it's going to cost you $1,000, right? So I'm teaching you how to do all of that and 100 times other things for a little bit more money and the one-on-one coaching. So, I mean, when I look at it, the cost analysis of the price of, hiring people to do this for you, it actually costs more to do that than just empowering yourself to learn it, and you get somebody to help you one-on-one, So that's how I look at it in terms of cost analysis.
That is the exact same way I've just been thinking about it, because I have hit up people in regards to aid with lead gen or aid with sales funnels and just like general business infrastructure. And a lot of the time they quote me £800, £900 or something, which for one singular thing is a lot to commit to for just sales funnel or just lead gen.
Yeah.
Because there are so many other parts that just need help. So,
it's crazy. And I'll teach you how to outsource some of it for very little money.
Sorry, what did you say? You cut out.
I said I'll teach you how to outsource some of that too, for very, very little money, how to outsource the lead gen piece. It works very, very well for my clients, and it's very cheap, like $30 to $100 a month. And it's all outsourced so that you can focus on school while you're in school, you have lead gen happening.
30 to 100 a month, that's absolutely nothing.
Right? It's so worth it.
that's nothing.
Yeah.
No, if you have my phone bill and my Netflix subscription
Exactly.
and my Amazon, you're probably at about the same price.
Have you watched the new show on Netflix? Was it the something Gamut?
Queen's Gambit?
Yeah.
I haven't. No, my brother loves
It's
it. I haven't
so
watched it
good.
yet.
You have to watch it. I realize how dumb I am watching that. Like, this girl, it's like the way they play chess. I'm like, I must be really dumb because I cannot do that. It's so incredible watching these. It's crazy. You got to watch it. It's good. You're a strategy guy. You'll like it.
Yeah, I think I will like it, to be honest. I think I will. So I'll give you an answer tomorrow in regards to the coaching program. But in all honesty, first impressions, very promising, to be honest. It is within my budget and I can afford to do this. So I just need to sleep on it and make a decision.
Yeah, no, sleep on it, and let's keep talking, and we'll chat tomorrow.
Perfect.
All right. It was so nice to meet you.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye.